The playbook was written in ink, or so they said. But the field changed the moment that we moved ahead. Circumstances shift, the shadows start to grow. In the script we memorize, it's time to let it go. I see the blitz coming, I see the pressure mount. But it's not how you start, it's the finish that will count. I'm the quarterback standing in the eye of the storm. Shattering the silence, breaking every norm. Call the audible, change the line. We're stepping out of formation and into the design. From the wreckage of the plans we made, we found a light that will never fade. When the world goes dark and the silence lies, look to your brother, look in his eyes. We are the storm that clears the skies. Say it with your chest, together we rise. Together we rise, together we rise. Yeah, yeah. Together we rise. Yeah. Welcome to the sanctuary, the unscripted truth, where we peel back the layers and we rebuild the roof. No plutonium files needed to crack the code. Just honest conversation on this heavy road. Zero topics off the table, let the record show. This is the realest frequency that you will ever know. I'm scared too, yeah, I'll admit the fear, but courage only matters when the danger is near. So tune in, lock in, let the hours pass. We're building something solid that is built to last. It's 6 p.m. The sun is going down, but we are the kings of this unspoken town. They want us divided, they want us apart, but they underestimated the strength of this heart. We don't need a teleprompter to tell us who to be. We just need this moment.
What is up, everybody? How you doing? It is your boy, the Birdman, for the Birdman Show. I got Mace Valor joining me. We're trying to get Jeff in here. Miss D, if you're watching this, you might want to call him because I think he might be having a little issues with his camera and his mic. Help him out. Help a brother out. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna keep rolling well as we get wait to get Jeff in here. So you guys already know what to do. Why don't you go ahead and do it with us? That is right. But yes, we are here. We're live. We're gonna be getting this bad boy started here in a few. But I gotta say what's up to my current co-host right now, Mace Valor. How the heck you doing?
I am doing toppy tippers as always. How are you?
I am not doing too bad, and Miss D sends a nice little caca. But yeah, it's definitely good to see everybody. I'm not doing too bad. But yeah, so I'm glad to see everybody. Karen, how are you doing? Gotta say what's up to Karen. Karen in the house. Oh, Tabs in the house is up, sis. How we doing? Of course, like I said, Miss D, she's in the comments right now. She's at work. But hopefully she'll be joining us when she gets home or on the way home, whichever. But we'll see how that is. So definitely want to thank everybody for joining so far. Anything exciting happened this weekend or since the last time we talked?
Oh, since Monday? Yeah, no, not too much, to be honest with you. It's just been pretty chill, pretty mellow. Every day kind of flows into the next. The kids being batshit crazy, but what are you going to do there? So normal stuff.
I feel you. Oh, okay. So Jeff's having an issue with his, for whatever, some reason, his browser settings are not letting him change or add his mic or camera. Huh. I don't know if I can really. I don't even know if I can coach you through that.
Hit it.
I know. Yeah. Grab a hammer. Yeah, grab a hammer. Hit it. The only other thing I could suggest maybe is if so you're on your phone. Other thing I could suggest is maybe download the StreamYard app itself and then seeing if you can copy and paste the link to get in. That'd be the only other thing I can think of to try to help that out. So if you can try that. Like I said, we'll be here. Be here for at least the next 2 hours. So we'll get you in here. We'll get you rolling. This is a an episode that you okay. Everybody knows not everybody, but most people know that when I started the Birdman Show podcast, uh, which was 8 seasons ago. I think my first episode was Jesus. It was 2020. I think it was 2021. I think 21, 22. I can't remember. But anyways, and I started it after I started the coaching podcast, which was called Hey Coach. Now it's been since rebrand to Birdman Sports 247. Um, but I started it, and it just mainly started as, talking about, mainly dealing with mental health. I was going through some things at the time, and it was I guess it was kind of more so for therapy, but it was just like I didn't know what I was doing. Um, but that's what it started off with, dealing with mental health and things like that. And it took off from there. This kind of really took off from there. My very first guest was Ace. Um, and so it just kind of took off from there. And that's where it's since evolved or morphed into what it is now. Talking about true crimes and other things like that. But I like to get back to the mental health from time to time, and I like to do that a little bit more as well, because mental health is not just a 1 day thing. Mental health is not just hey, I'm thinking about mental health right now. Let's go ahead and talk about something. No, it's something you should keep on your mind, because there's a lot of people that are still struggling with mental health, and a lot of their struggles they're having, especially what we're going to be talking about today. But it's something it's something that is very dear to me because I deal with it so much. What are your thoughts on mental health?
Yeah, so mental health is one of those things that for a good stretch of human history we didn't fully understand. And so even in the course of my lifetime, it's expanded quite a bit to where, we're actually, putting money aside for research and we're paying more attention to it. But the very nature of these things is kind of a double-edged sword because we have such a huge emphasis on wanting to get people to be, in their right frame of mind, but the world being what it is and everything being commodified, it's almost as if like once you do have a mental illness, it's more about supplementing the symptoms as opposed to actually like truly trying to like fix somebody. So like we've made great strides, over the decades that me and you have been alive, but it does feel like there does need to be a lot more room for growth when we shifted away from, well, how can we benefit from other people's suffering?
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, mental health in general, no matter who you are, no matter what your experiences are, you need to take a closer look. You need to keep it. Um, don't think just because you're doing better, that you're over it, and that you need to stop doing the work that you were doing to get to the point you are now. I think that's where a lot of people struggle the most is that you get to a point where you're like, hey, you know what? I'm actually doing pretty good. Whether I'm taking medication or I'm talking to somebody, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. I don't need to keep doing this stuff. And then next thing you know, they're not right back where they were. They're in a worse position. They're in a worse situation. So I liken it to a lot like when it comes to alcohol and drug abuse. If you stop doing the things that have gotten you off of drugs or stop or getting you from stopping drinking so much alcohol and think you're just so much better, then once you fall off a wagon, you tend to fall off and you become worse than what you were before. So it's always one of those things you always have to keep in mind. Now, today's episode, we're going to be really focusing on veterans mental health. And as you see, that the title of this is Wings of Valor, Veterans Mental Health. Now, of course, this is definitely a pretty it's a topic that myself and Mace, especially being here right now, are really we're really involved in. As you'll also hear, hopefully, when Jeff's able to get in here. Same thing with Jeff. Now we are, of course, uh, Oh, well, thank you, Tabs. I'm sorry, I just saw her comment. That is awesome. I love that. I think it helps, and I know it helps me a lot. And that's one thing I do hope that being able to talk about some topics we talk about, and sometimes just being nutty as I'll get out like we always are. You know what I'm saying? I think that does also help because it gives people a break from all the craziness that's going on in the world. But like I said, we're gonna be talking about veterans mental health. Um, now, when I think about veterans mental health, there's a term that comes to mind, right? To me, I'm just gonna I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about just come up with everybody, but I'm talking about me. Now, when I think about this, what I didn't realize, Mace, in my 10 years when I was in the military, I had multiple deployments and I had a lot of messed up things that happened in those deployments. And I was very blessed. I was very fortunate that even with even some of the injuries I had when I was in the military, um, I didn't lose a limb. You know what I'm saying? I have still all 10 of my fingers, and all 12 of my toes. That's a joke, people. I have 10 toes. Um, but I don't have to, like, I do have some scars, but they're not like visible, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't unless I tell you, hey, this is where the scar is at, this is where you're from. Or sometimes like with this arm, because I do have a pretty good gash from something that happened. Unless I'm wearing like long or short sleeves like I am now, you wouldn't know. Okay. When I think about this, I think about this term, and tell me if you've heard this term, Mace, the
Mm,
hidden wound, the hidden wound, right?
yeah.
So when you look at, and I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity. I think we got Jeff in now. There he is.
Hey.
There he is. You're muted, but there you are. Oh, he just
Oh.
left.
It's progress.
Yeah. Yeah, it just kicked him off. That's weird. Okay, so I think Miss D is trying to coach him through it. So we'll let Miss D do her thing, and we'll continue to go. But I don't know if you ever had an opportunity. I did have an opportunity because I go down for a procedure. But Walter Reed, and for those who don't know, that's like the big like VA hospital for where a lot of veterans and actually active duty members go. Where they have like sometimes they have big surgeries and stuff like that. But it's a eye-opening place, especially if you're in the service and you go down there for something and you see the aftermath of war for American soldiers, and you see that those soldiers who went to war made it back, but they didn't make it back whole. They lost limbs. You know what I'm saying? Some were deformed, um, and being able to see that is something. When I went, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna tell you. When I went, I felt ashamed, and I felt ashamed because here I am dealing with all this stuff, PTSD, and I have injuries. I had injuries, but they still weren't visible injuries. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in my mind, I was ashamed because I'm like, man, I'm in pain. Yeah, I'm dealing with all this PTSD, the depression, the anxiety. I'm dealing with all this stuff, but you know what? I can still walk. You know what? I can still pick up things. I can grip things with my hands. I can still hug, my kids. I can still do a lot of things that these gentlemen and ladies will never be able to do again. At least not in the way that they used to. I mean, look, technology's come around, come far along, with prosthetics and everything like that. But it's not the same as your own flesh and blood and your bones. You know what I'm saying? So that was my initial feeling. And for a long time, it was a double-edged sword, right? So for a long time, what it did was it made me hold on to things that I was dealing with because I wouldn't talk about a lot of stuff because I'm like, look at them. They can talk. If they need to talk to somebody, they need to talk to somebody. I mean, I'm okay. I mean, I'm like I said, I can still walk. I can still, do all these other things. but it still didn't dawn on me that hidden wound, because now people on the outside are looking at me like, you're in war. Oh, well, you look like you're fine. You look like you're okay. You don't doesn't look like there's nothing's bothering you. And it's like now you really seriously start to hide that stuff. And the thing about it is that people don't understand about the physical battlefield injuries, um, and how everything is the invisible wound. And I wrote something down here, but the invisible wound of PTSD, depression, and moral injuries, which is, we'll get into that, often have no external scars, but are just as debilitating. I think we got Jeff in now. And we got him in now. You good? Your mic's muted. Your mic's muted. I don't know how we got a video. That's great. Then he get what the should have said anything. Well, anyways, we're still working at it. But that's what people don't seem to understand is that fact there is that because it's not visible, it doesn't mean that it's still not debilitating for us. What are some of your thoughts when you think about that?
Yeah, so that's like the whole unseen stuff that not a lot of people really understand. It's like, just because it's the whole judging a book by its cover, right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh, you can still operate, so there might not be anything wrong, but there is, and it comes in lots of various forms, shapes, and sizes. Pretty common one with veterans is like a lot of us have very, very large amounts of trouble sleeping.
Mhm.
It's like a symptom of a lot of different mental illnesses. But when you come back from deployment and stuff, like just the things that you experience while you're over there, kind of it sits in your subconscious in a way that's really kind of hard to explain to a lot of people. So when you tell people like, hey, I deployed this, that, and the other, and there's just like this over romanticized feeling about warfare, because when we have a lot of media like video games, movies, TV, whatever, to where it's kind of desensitized people. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's like on one hand you could be like, oh, it's like this Billy badass thing, but when you actually like are there, it's nothing like it is in the movies. It's nothing like it is in games. And it's mainly because of that disassociation of the distance of the screen. Like you'll get people that sign up because they play Call of Duty and like that's what they think it's going to be like. But when you actually get there, no, it's not. It's like a ton of bureaucracy and all this stuff, and very rigid. There's a lot of rigor in how a lot of the ways that we operate in any kind of conflict or mission parameters or whatever. We kind of try to do things by the book, and you're just not ready for it. And then you go over there and then you come back and it's like you thought things were going to be one way, your actual lived experience is completely different. And then you come back to a world where the only people that you can really connect with are other service members, because those are the ones that like they understand like the truth behind the curtain, right? They understand like it's not this whole romanticized like epic tale of valor and whatever. It's war is hell, and it affects us all in various different ways. And trying to explain to someone like in a true and honest way, like the after effects, that the lingering things of the mind that just like etch themselves right into our subconscious, like it becomes a part of you. And one of the most difficult parts is when you are trying to have those honest conversations with people, that they just don't get it. And because like I said, it's like that whole judging a book by its cover thing. It's like, well, you don't look this way,
Yeah. No, that's 100%, man. And I think for me, and I'm gonna clear one thing up. First of all, my military career looked exactly like Call of Duty. Anyways, no, but seriously, I'm actually, before I even get to that, I want to bring up, and I already put it up here, but Tab's comment, and she said, I would see this with my dad, and my two uncles, they were all in Vietnam. My father was also in Vietnam. And the thing is, and I'm gonna try to address this as a question, not only to you, Mace, but anybody else that's out there watching us and listening, now or even later. Breaking the stigma. Okay. Trying to address the culture bearer in the military regarding mental health is a real thing, and most people, like you said, still don't get it. They still don't understand it. So, do you believe, or what are your thoughts on, is seeking help, is it still historically viewed as a weakness?
Oh man, it definitely is. So I got a little anecdote I could throw into this. So
Okay.
when we're enlisted, we are told one thing, but our day-to-day, the way that we operate day to day is very different from what they tell us that you're supposed to do. Like the old adage is like the Army is like all about family, right? Like God, family, country, right? But
Yeah.
they don't really give you time to like think about it. Like the Army wants to emphasize like your religious rights are your own, your family is like super important, and then your nation, right? But they always
Mhm.
emphasize the hierarchy. It's like, oh, your nation always comes first and everything else is secondary, right? And so part of the thing that always really got me was, oh, you need to take care of yourself, right? But it's like this weird paradox because if you try to take care of yourself, they ostracize you for it. It's like, oh, you
Mhm.
got to go to sick call, huh? It's like, well, like, yeah, I got a dislocated shoulder. Like, what do you want me to do? You know, like
Right.
that was an issue that I had. I had a dislocated shoulder at work from falling, and they made me finish out the day before they would like, oh no, we need you here. You can go when you have time off. And it's like, dude, I'm on the night shift. I'm gonna have to deal with this, And then I go the next morning and I get a sling, pop me back into place, and then I come to work. It's like, oh wait, you got a sling? You got oh yeah. Like the very people that you serve with that are in positions of leadership make you feel bad for taking care of yourself. But if we
Mhm.
don't take care of ourselves, we then get in trouble. It's like the snake eating its own tail. So what this does is it enforces the idea while we're enlisted not to go seek help when we need it, whether physical or mental. If you had to go for mental health services, that was even worse than if something physical happened to you, because if at least you
Yes.
got like tore up, all right, whatever. All right. Okay. It is what it is. You're bleeding, go. Life, limb, and eyesight, right? They don't put this stuff into that account. So if you
Right.
go because like you're just like mentally like unwell for a while and you need to go to therapy, maybe you need to get some antidepressants or something, they like go out of their way to make you feel like not just that you're a horrible person, but you're a worthless soldier. And that sticks in people for a very long time. So it creates this kind of culture where, you don't go to sick call, you don't get your things documented, and then by the time you get out, all those lingering effects, now that you're in the civilian world, it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? It's like you try to go to the VA, but because all of your time enlisted, you didn't go to sick call, you didn't go to get mental health services. So
Mhm.
from the Army standpoint, it's like, oh well, anything that's wrong with you has nothing to do with us, even though it sure like most certainly does. But they, once again, this is the bureaucracy. This is like, so it's kind of like one part of the system feeding the other. If like
Mhm.
while people are enlisted, if we shame them enough, they don't go. That way, when they get out, there's no evidence that they can have to support them to try to go get and utilize benefits that are rightfully owed to them.
Yes.
And I remember when I like got out, and it took depending upon where you're at, the VA kind of works really fast or really slow. For me, it worked relatively slow in California, but I, had other service members that I knew of, and we would chit chat and talk about it. And Ashley's, she had a friend from work that had a boyfriend or husband that he was in the Marines, and then he ended up getting out. And then we had a little like conversation back and forth, and I was like trying to tell him about the VA, and like, hey, if you need any help with the VA, like I don't mind helping you out. Like I know how to navigate it pretty well. And he instantly shut it down. And it's like, oh, I can't do any of that. And I'm like, well, why not? I mean, you just told me all these things that happened to you while you're in. I mean, you're due to get benefits that are rightfully owed to you. And he's like, oh no, that, and there's this thing, because like, it's like with the welfare state, right? One of the big things in America right now is that we have a tremendous amount of debt. But what are we doing with the money that we do have? We're giving it to other nations. We're subsidizing like the tech oligarchs, and then we're blaming the working man for using the welfare system. It's like, oh, everything is bad because you're using the welfare system. And then they make it like, even in the civilian world, even in citizens of our nation, they make us feel bad for utilizing services that are rightfully, owed to us. Right. And so that gets into people's heads. So when I'm talking to him about this, he's like, he has, his whole perception is, if he tries to go and get benefits, even though they're rightfully owed to him, that's him like being a drain on the system. Like, he's already got it so in his head that he doesn't need to go get things that are rightfully owed to him, because he's been indoctrinated to believe that that is wrong. And that's just kind of how the system kind of like course corrects itself. And the system's broken in such a way to where it's not really broken. All of these different layers kind of work in tandem with one another so that, it can move in a particular direction.
To me, well, number one, I 100% agree. 100% agree. Definitely want to say that. But to me, it starts way before you even get in the military. Think about how society is in general. It's the same way. Especially if you're a man and you say, I'm struggling. I need to get help. I need to do this. First of all, there's not a lot of services for men. Let's put it that way. When it comes to that. But the reason why there's not a lot of services for men when it comes to that, now I think they've gotten a lot better. Don't get me twisted. But the reason why that wasn't before that is because we weren't, and I'm talking about as guys, we weren't putting ourselves out there. We weren't saying that we were struggling with this and that. And those things were not historically, put out there for men. It hasn't been, but really truly recently, that a lot more women are understanding that there's a lot of men that actually deal with a lot of stuff. But historically, what were we taught to do? We were taught to get up every single day. Yeah, suck it up. Get up every single day. You don't talk about it. You don't complain about it. You go to work. You make your money. You come home. You do whatever chores need to be done at the house. You do all the physical labor from the house. Make sure that the wife has the money and she's able to buy groceries. She's able to take care of the house. We were historically taught to do that, and in a lot of ways, we still are being taught to do that. That's the role of men. So the stigma just really, it gets me because, in order for us to be a great society, we need to be a healthy one. And I think mental health is not something that's taken seriously. I can look at my town right now. Okay, I'm in Kansas, Pittsburgh, freaking Kansas. I'll tell you where I stay. I don't care, because if you come start anything, you really gonna see the real Birdman. But anyways, I'm in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and Monty, I can't go too far anywhere in this town without running into a freaking health club or some type of gym. Gyms are all over the place. People are so into the physical health, but there's not a lot of mental health places. Very few. I think there's maybe three. I think three, but they're all the same company. They just have 3 different locations, maybe 4 locations here. And I'm just talking about here in this small town. But if you really look at any other place, there are health clubs popping all over the place for physical, nothing for mental. And we're going to get into some of these numbers too. We're definitely going to talk numbers and percentages and everything. Let me hit some of these comments real quick. Also, of course, like you guys already know, I'll be throwing in different links and stuff that you can go and check out. That's going to be talking about a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about. But the different links that have different numbers, different percentages, different things. Well, I think in here somewhere I have some links for mental health places, so that if you are somebody out there that is struggling with something like this, reach out. Please reach out. I think that is something that needs to be done more and talked about more of. Definitely want to hear one of these comments here. Tab says the stigma is why my one uncle, a Marine, used alcohol. Mental health care was not something he would do. So he drank from sun up to sundown. I listen. I'm there. I'm with you. Listen, Mace. Those he was there. He was there with me. Especially towards the tail end of my military career. Before he got out and before I got out, and that's what I did. I mean, that's all I did. I mean, so especially toward my tail end of the career getting out, and then after I got out and I was still up there for a little while. That's all we did. That's all we did. You know what I'm saying? To the point where we're eating cereal with Bud Light.
Good times.
Hey, you ain't got milk, that's all good. But yeah. So that, like I said, it's just it's upsetting to me at times, because the simple fact is, this is something that should be, it should be, you should see it more. When I say see it more, you should see more things that are there for. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like I said, we're talking about veterans' mental health. Uh, what bothers me, Mace, is the fact that great percentage of our population of homeless people are veterans. I don't understand that. I just don't. I don't understand why there is a single homeless veteran. Now, I guess I can see it because there's a lot of people, you look at, and I've talked to a few veterans. I've talked to a few of them that were homeless. And their thing was, what, when I got back, I didn't know what to do. I was dealing with all my mental issues. It was too much for my family. Either they got kicked out or they left. You know what I'm saying? So, but to me, in that situation, I still don't understand why it is that especially veterans are homeless. I just don't understand that. I don't know what are your thoughts on that.
Oh man. So there's like, how I am like with some tinfoil shit, but it's like, it feels like part of the system is broken and negligent, like by design, because if you don't take care of the people that have the most experience, then the whole, against all forms of tyranny, both foreign and domestic, the government doesn't have to worry about that, because the people that went overseas, that experienced the stuff and came back, the ones that are trained, the ones that are knowledgeable, the ones that have, kind of been disillusioned by all like the propaganda and indoctrination, those are the ones that that are the best equipped to lead any type of change in regards to like a revolution. So by ignoring those people, you completely, as a governmental entity, that's one element of the equation that you just completely write off. It's like, oh, well, those people aren't going to be able to come together because they're so down and focused on what they've got going on. And then it also rides back into like, well, what services are actually available. Now, over time, we have seen the VA getting better and better and better. It still does need a lot of work. They kind of do need to streamline some things. But for the most part, it's kind of, it's like 50-50. It's kind of like flipping a coin going with them. And a big part of that is a lot of the people that work within the VA, they don't have any experience being actually in the military. It's kind of like dealing with health insurance companies. Those people aren't doctors. None of them once went to medical school. A lot of them are just people that, they're claims adjusters. What do? They just read off codes and stuff. And their whole thing is to try to find a reason not to give you benefits that are owed to you. And so it's kind of like that with the VA, where because you don't have people at the core that are the ones face to face working with all these veterans that intimately know exactly what they're going through, it's hard to translate. because they only have their own perspective to go off of. So it's
Yeah.
part of it is like a bad system, and then another part of it is just you're not having the adequate people, working within it. So it's really kind of sad to see a lot of like homeless vets. Now, homelessness is kind of like another weird thing in this country because as prosperous as we are, you would think that wouldn't necessarily be a thing, especially for people that fought and served for our country. But it's like it's one of those things that my friends in China, for example, right?
Mhm.
They, like the fact our homelessness like levels in America is wild to them because they don't have a homeless problem. Like, are there homeless people in China? Yes, but with the way that their government is set up, if you don't have a job, if you don't have a place to live, the government will assist you in finding work, giving you shelter. Like they don't want like just random people on the streets, right?
Mhm.
So, but over in America, we have all these services, but hardly anyone knows where to find them. And then when you do find them, there's massive long waiting lists. And then also because of we have federal mandates, but then every individual state kind of has their own thing. So the level of bureaucracy makes it very, very difficult. And then our government routinely sells out any of these beneficial services. Let's look at the state of California, for example. State of California has a tremendous homeless issue, right? All over the state. And they spend billions upon billions of dollars a year to solve this problem. But the vast majority of that money doesn't ever go towards actually solving the problem. It's eaten up in a tremendous amount of administrative costs. We're talking people that work in administrative roles to end homelessness in the state of California that make $250,000 a year for just signing papers. That's it. So where does the bulk of the money go? Well, when you follow the money, okay, so state of California, we want to end homelessness. How are we going to end homelessness? We're going to do high density housing. So what they do is they purchase a piece of land and they build like a high rise. They build like an apartment complex. But that's not owned by the state. It's basically owned by a private entity. So the state subsidized paying for the building, right? So the taxpayer pays for the building. A private entity owns that building. There's a signed agreement where the rental rates of that building will be below market value, like Section 8 type stuff, and it'll be subsidized. However, that is for a certain period of time, like let's say 5 years. So, okay, state of California, we're going to build a high-rise, high-density environment for housing for people of lower income. We're going to sign an agreement for 5 years. After that, then it goes back over to the private group that owns that real estate property. The timer of that length of time starts the moment the land is purchased, not before any foundation is done, not before the electricity is installed and the plumbing is turned on. Like, so by the time the building is actually finished being completely done, you'll probably have a year left of them having to do some sort of subsidized housing. And then that goes away. And then it's just a private company owns that building. They can rent the units out at market value. And that happens at length all over California. And then if you multiply that same strategy out to other states, all the money that we're as taxpayers are putting in towards solving the homeless problem, in actuality, what we're doing is we're helping facilitate the real estate dreams of billionaires.
Well, I really don't want to get on taxpayer dollars because let's just get this out of the way. We wouldn't have this issue if we weren't sending billions of dollars to other countries. Well, mainly one country in particular, but we wouldn't have this issue. We wouldn't have an issue of homelessness. We wouldn't have an issue of hunger. Maybe we could actually build the infrastructure to actually take care of these very problems that we're talking about. If we actually took that money that is going to this other country, whether it's Israel or anywhere else, maybe if we actually took that money and actually put it back into our own country, our own people, and took care of that first before we try to go help somebody else out. For still not understanding any of that, but before we go start sending money, because what bothers me is that when you're sending billions of dollars to another country that has free healthcare, that has free um, education, where their universities are free for their kids to go, but yet still our kids here are having to jump through so many hoops and everything else, just to get education. Heck, just to get a school meal. It bothers me. It really does. I'm not trying to get on that. I wasn't trying to get on that soap. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm trying to stay focused where we're at right here. Focused here. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of stuff that really bothers me. I want to get a couple numbers, and we're gonna take a commercial break. But let's talk about like mental health diagnosis, right? Okay. So here's one thing that really kind of jumped out at me, because I really wasn't aware of this number being as high. I guess I was kind of thinking maybe I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what number I thought this was actually going to be, but nearly 2 in 3, which is about 62.7% of post 9/11 warriors screen positive for at least one mental health condition, with anxiety, depression, and PTSD being the top 3, each at roughly 77% to 80% among those affected. I did not really I mean, I don't know what I thought. And I'll put that link in the chat. Um, this is coming from govinfo.gov. So I'll put that in the chat now, so you can definitely go check that out. But I guess I just wasn't expecting it to be 77 to 80% among those affected. Um, and then another number was raising PTSD. Lifetime PTSD prevalence among U.S. veterans has risen significantly from roughly 8 to 9% in 2011 to 14.4% today. And then toxic exposure discussed. Okay, so like related toxins like burn pits, pesticides, and stuff like that are directly linked to mental health issues as well, increasing odds of PTSD by up to 83%, and suicidal ideology by 22%. Once again, I'll put those links in the chat as well. What are your thoughts when you hear those types of numbers?
Well, it's like it's shocking because like we're the wealthy one of like the wealthiest nation in the world, right? And we have all the top universities, this, that, and the other, and we've made so many strides in medical advancements and stuff. And you would think that we would things like this we would kind of have a better lock on by now. And it's like I don't want to disparage the progress that we have made, but at the same time, it's just like there's something about it that just doesn't correlate. It's like, how can we say that we're so good and we're so great when these numbers are what they are? It's like, where are we actually placing the priorities in the health of, our citizens, and for this topic, our veterans?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always and I think we are planning on doing an episode on education as far as like I think what did I call it? There's a homeschool versus private school versus public school. I think is one of the topics we plan on doing this season. I believe that's what it is. Ms. D, if you're listening, let me know, because I think that's one of those suggestions I gave. But anyways, I still have a tough time because that's one thing I want to do a deep dive in is on the numbers of as far as the education system is, as far as where does the U.S. actually place in okay, yes, okay, where does it actually place? And then when you say where they place, what are you actually really looking at basing it on? Because I still, when I think of a country being great, it's not because of the country. It's because of the people in the country, how that government is treating their people. Now, people can sit there and say that America is the land of the free. And I'm sorry, when you look at a lot of things, I still don't know if I can get behind the fact that we are free. I mean, there is a new slavery has evolved. It has evolved. It's not just about a one single race anymore. Okay, understand that the elites are 100% making everybody slaves to something at some form or fashion. But the thing is, we don't what we think about when it comes to slavery or stuff like that. We don't think about what happened to the blacks that came over. We don't think about what happened to the Chinamen that came over, the Irish. When they came over, they put them out to working on the railroads, put the blacks working on in the fields and doing all that. We only think about that. We don't actually think about what actually technically will make you a slave. We're slave to our electronics. We're slave to our heck. We're sometimes slave to our families, our kids, our spouses, definitely our jobs. Like, I don't understand how you go to school, right? Follow me here, Mason. You go to school.
I'm going.
Okay, you go to school. You know what I'm saying? Go to college, and you're supposed to get this degree that's supposed to help you put you in a position to make all this money. But yet instead, what it actually does is put you in debt. And then you're in debt. You go to work, and you're not even the money you're paying towards that debt doesn't even come close to paying that debt off. So you're just spinning your wheels. You know what I'm saying? So what did Ms. D say? I said that we are all slaves. Yes, definitely. I said that we are all slaves to the almighty broken system. 100%. It's a freaking. Is that JB? It is JB in the house. What is up, bro? What's up, broski? Yeah. But yeah, it's ridiculous to me. And now I'm fully starting to really understand the vicious cycle of the mental health. The mental health problems that we're having is because a lot of people talk about this, and and it seems funny. Like I've been, looking at different videos and stuff like that, and I see there's a lot more people that are talking about it. But what I'm not seeing, Mace, is I'm not seeing anything being done. A lot of people talk about this stuff, and the people that can actually change this or do something about it don't do anything about it. Mental health is not, especially if you're talking about veterans' mental health, is not new. This is definitely not new. Now I don't think, when do you remember? Because I could have sworn we said this one point in time. Do you remember when they actually started really? No, it was definitely after Vietnam. But when did they really start dealing with this? The whole aspect of dealing with mental health when it came to veterans. God damn it.
I would say it's the first time we actually noticed it was World War I. People coming back with shell shock.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And then World War II, we noticed it even more, but we really didn't as the VA, we really didn't put a huge emphasis on the mental part of it until around the Vietnam, Korean War era. And the thing is, part of that is because back in World War I and World War II, we would send soldiers over to Europe, right? And then the Pacific, etc. The time it would take to go from one part of the world to another was relatively extensive. So when you're done with World War I, you're on a boat coming back to America. So you're going to be on that boat for a month or two, just going across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And then World War II, we have more advanced technology. So we have some flights, and then we also have more faster, more capable boats by that point. But what happened was it was quicker. And then by the Vietnam, Korean War era, the speed of our travel was enhanced quite substantially, and that was because of aerial technology. So by being able to fly from one place to another, you're able to go from being in theater to being back home within 48 hours. So that's when you didn't have that respite time in between. Mm-hmm. So, and this is something that really messed up a lot of people, because you're immediately going from the combat zone no like brief downtime in between, and then you're kind of back in garrison. And so that's when they started noticing a lot of these things a lot more. One thing with the PTSD effects of shell shock, and with World War One and then World War Two, it was kind of like, oh, that's just the nature of war. Like, oh, you remember the horrible things, and it's like it was like kind of just is what it is. It's like that's what you signed up for. That's the nature of the beast, and people kind of were like, oh, okay, whatever about it. And it kind of got to the point where people could hardly function. So when Vietnam, Korean War era, people coming back, and it's like they're not able to function just in the military. They're hardly able to function in the civilian world. It's like that's when the military finally is like, okay, we need to look into this. We need to provide something for these guys because it's like they're coming back as shells of human beings.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely agree with that. And I'm gonna say another thing, and like I said, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, but I can tell you another thing that really I was not prepared for. I just wasn't at all, and that was the nightmares. I just was not prepared for them, and there was something really messed up happened before my first deployment. It's literally like I want to say probably about a month and a half before we deployed, right? And I was laying in bed with it's like in the afternoon. We had gotten off early. I got back to the house, was laying in bed with my fiance, that time my fiance, my second wife, right? And I dozed off. Now this is before I deployed. And I dozed off, and finally, kind of went to a deeper sleep. And I had this crazy, crazy dream. And I had a dream that was in the field. I was in this field, and there was like 4 or 5 of my fellow soldiers that was in my unit that were in my squad. And we're out doing. All of a sudden, we start taking this fire. We start getting hit. This and that. You know what I'm saying? And I woke up and I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. Didn't think anything about it, right? Until my deployment. And it was after an event happened where we lost 5 soldiers, five of my buddies in one fell swoop. Now, the thing that got me with that Mace was the fact that the guys I dreamed about, that was them, the 5 guys. This is before that deployment happened. And the thing was, nothing in my dream, nothing happened to them, but I remember their faces. And then when that event happened, and like I said, I'm not going into details with that, but when that event happened, bro, I was 100% shook. And then, like I said, after all that happened, and then there's quite a few other things happened as well. When I got back, the nightmares, like I didn't have any nightmares while I was there. That's what got me. It was like I didn't have any while I was there. So I was like, I'm thinking, not that I'm good, but then I mean, yes, it was horrible, but maybe it's not as bad. It wasn't until I got back and I was supposed to be in a state of peace where the true war really began. That's when it really started. And then I was not prepared for those nightmares, man. And I was not prepared, especially for walking around somewhere and next thing I know, I'm seeing a face of somebody I may have shot, or seeing the face of somebody, that I saw over there that I thought might have been, an surgeon or something like that. I was not prepared for that. Seeing the faces of people, you end up having to unalive while you're over there. I wasn't prepared for that. No one told me that could be something that happened. But yeah, it was just crazy. Do you have any comments you want to make about that before we go ahead and take this commercial?
Oh, no, we should be good for a commercial.
Okay, all right, peoples. We're gonna take a commercial break. Yeah, I think it's a good spot to take a commercial break. But yeah, we're definitely gonna take a commercial break. Give us show some love as we talk about 143 Infinite Designs. 143, the numeric number for love, Infinite Designs, for all your apparel and DTF needs. Give us a call. But we'll be right back. Yeah. Well, let's do direct transfer to film. That's the proper one, not the other DTF. Down to frolic. Anyways, oh god, it's funny because I have to do that to keep from crying. Anyways, thank you guys. We'll be right back with more of the Birdman show after this. This commercial break is brought to you by 143 Infinite Designs. At 143 Infinite Designs, they believe that fashion is a powerful way to celebrate love, creativity, and connection. It is their mission to bring people together through custom, stylish, and meaningful t-shirt designs that enable everyone to express their unique stories, passions, and personalities. At 143 Infinite Designs, they also aim to make every piece a reflection of kindness, unity, and infinite imaginations, spreading positivity one shirt at a time. So if you'd like more information, please reach out by calling 620-454-6588 or by email 143infinitedesigns@gmail.com. What is up, everybody? How you doing? It's your boy, the Birdman from the Birdman Show. I've got Mace Valor with me. We're working on getting Jeff, and we'll get that fixed here before too long. But like I said, I got Mace with me. Miss D will probably join us later as well. Bambi is still doing mommy duties. We love you, sis. That's my niece, mother, baby girl. Hey, but you got me and Mace, so we're gonna rock on with this. I'm sorry if that doesn't appease you, but anyways, like I said, I'm the Birdman. That's Mace Valor. This is the Birdman Show podcast. You guys already know what to do, so why don't you go ahead and do it with us? And for Miss D, there you go. Anyways, we are back. We are, as you can see, scrolling down there at the bottom, talking about veterans mental health. This is called Wings of Valor, and I'm actually thinking about Mace making this kind of like a recurring series, right? Where we can do this. I would like to be able to reach out to other veterans who might want to maybe join us, for like an episode. Tell their stories, talk to them, see how they are doing their road to recovery, self-realization, just how life is treating them in general. I would love to be able to make this some type of or maybe make this a recurring series. So we'll talk more about that. But speaking of series and everything, definitely want to thank everybody for watching us and joining us on our platforms. And if you are listening to this podcast later and you want to join the live episode of the Birdman Show, you definitely go check those out on our YouTube channel at TBS 216. You can check out any live episodes as well as any past episodes. You can also go do the same thing by checking us out on Rumble at the Birdman Show podcast, and of course over on Kick at Birdman Show. And now what I'm thinking about doing with those, what I'm thinking about doing is, we do the live episodes and everything, right? So what I'm thinking about doing their Mace is that I have some things I can do to kind of that kind of go with the production value and stuff like that. But I'm not able to do it within this platform because, like, you remember on Restream, I had my whole like everything set up. We had the scenes, had the different type of things I could do with it. This one doesn't actually allow me to do that with it. This is more of a straightforward production, which is not bad. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. But what I'm thinking about doing, especially like with like probably like Rumble's probably gonna be the main one I'm gonna do this with, is not do the episode live, but upload it later, and that way I can add the other stuff into it. But I still haven't decided if that's what I want to do yet or not, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It is what it is. But also, if you are watching this right now, but you say, "Hey, you know what? I want to, I want to listen to the Birdman show and even Conspiracy Files on the go. I want to go to the gym. I want to listen to them. Hey, you know what? I want to sit in Bible study and listen. Now, if you're listening to this in Bible study, you're already going to hell. Anyways,
What?
you should not be listening to us during Bible study. You just might as well chalk it up. Just go ahead and just live your best life. Anyways, but if you want to listen to us and take the Birdman show and Conspiracy Files on the road with you anywhere you want to go, you can definitely do that by going to any of our listening platforms, because we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So you can definitely go check those out by searching Birdman Show Podcast on those listening devices. Try to make it as easy as possible. I want to make sure people can find us. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, we're talking today, Wings of Valor, veterans mental health. So far, Mace, how are you doing with this?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, it's one of those things we don't really like touch on a whole lot. Like we every now and then we like to tote out like, hey, we're vets, but it's kind of one of the things that not a lot of people really think of, because like, oh, thank you for your service. And you're like, oh, you don't know what you're thanking me for. I served food for those who defended freedom, so happy about that.
Hey, I don't care, man. Hey, listen, let me tell you something, man. There were basically really four MOSs that I made sure I try to take care of as much as possible. I was infantry, 11 bang bang for those who don't know what that is, but infantry. Yeah, and that's where I started off my career. And there was a few, I would say 3 to 4 that I would really make sure I took care of. Number one was I always make sure I took care of my medic. Always make sure, because we get into it and I get hit or something happens, I need to make sure that person is good to go to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? So I got to make sure that they're good. Okay. The other one, and these the 2 and the 3 I'm about to say, they're pretty much they're 2A 2B. Okay, not to be continued, but 2A 2B. And that was the cooks and anyone working S1 shop, pretty much any of the S shops, really, S1 all the way to S4, because they're the ones, especially S1 takes care of your paperwork. So if you got to file something, you need something done quickly, you're messing up the investment money, anything like that, finances, you make sure S1 is taken care of, right? S4, like I said, you go down to S4, that's your supply, you know what I'm saying? If you need something, you need to get some, you want to make sure that I made sure that they take care of. I was at least buddy with at least one of the E6s. Always cool with all the E5s, but you know what I'm saying? But at least the E6, E7 in each one of those shops, because they the ones take care of you. Now, I definitely always make sure the cooks take care, because I gotta eat. I gotta keep the energy up. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot out of you to shoot somebody in the face. Anyways, like, man, I need a cheeseburger. But but no, it was truly though. I've always looked at it this way. I don't care what anybody's in. I don't even care what branch you're in. The fact is, there's only a small percentage of us that actually do the job. Whatever the MOS is, whatever it is, there's only a very small percentage, like 1 to 2%, that actually will do the job. So I don't care who it is, what branch you're in, whatever. The fact that you were there and you were willing to sign your name on that line and possibly put yourself in harm's way to be able to make sure that the masses were protected, you're 100% a hero in my book. So I really don't care when it comes to that kind of stuff. Now, we joke around, you know what I'm saying? Like, Army, we joke around with the Marines, you know what I'm saying? Talking about they eat crayons and stuff. We joke around with the Navy, the Air Force, Coast Guard, National Guard. We joke around with y'all. We might try to talk bad about you, but I tell you this much, Mace. I better not hear no civilian talking crap on one of my branch brothers or sisters. I guarantee you, if you a civilian, you've never served, I hear you talking crap about anybody in one of these armed forces, you gonna see me, and you ain't gonna like that side of you gonna see of me. So yeah, that's all I can say is when it comes to that. Now, what let me ask you this question, because as of right now, I've been kind of heading up some of this stuff. What is one thing for you when you really look at this, and we start thinking about some of the stuff we're gonna talk about, because I'm gonna throw some other things out there as well. What's one thing that really kind of stands out to you when it comes to veterans mental health, and something you would say, hey, this is something that most people really don't think about, and this is something I think about?
Mm. Well, I think for me personally, it's like interactions with other people. It's
Mm.
like one of the things that happened when I first got out was I had a hard time like readjusting to the world, as it were. And it was mainly because I just had this constant feeling like any kind of friendship I would foster or whatever, it just didn't click right. So
Hmm.
when I first went to college, I was up in Washington after I got out, and a lot of my friends, that I made were civilians, and I had ways to interact with people, but it's like, how do you like really foster like some kind of lasting relationship with people when like everything that you know of the world is so different from them? Like
Yeah.
any kind of like minor reference or any story that I could tell, like as we're hanging out, they all link back to the military. And it's like, when you tell those stories to someone that also served, they get it, right?
Yeah.
Sharing your anecdotes of your shitty team leader with someone that's professional life has been working retail, like they just don't get it. So, and there are some overlaps. It's leadership is leadership. It's dog shit wherever you go. So,
Hmm.
but for the most part, it's like finding connections with people like that would actually get it was difficult. And then at the same time, it's like you then meet up with other people that are veterans, and
Hmm.
one of the things that they love to do, it's like, because we do shit on each other a lot, so shit on each other for each other's jobs, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
is fine. But if a civilian finds out what job you did, me being a 92 golf, they immediately like, oh, so you really didn't do anything then. Like universally across the board, that is the number one reaction that I would always get from any
Right.
type of friend or whatever that I had making with a civilian. Was that they'd be like, oh, you were just a cook. Oh, and then like they would
Uh-huh.
totally dismiss everything. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And I think that goes along with what I just said too. I like, oh my God, that would irritate the crap out of me. It still does. It still does. The fact that somebody will say, "Oh well, oh what's like when I said about the S1, right? S1 92 golfs, not 92 golfs, 42 alphas, which are your human resources." And it'd be like, "Oh, well, just push paper, and you just." A paperclip warrior, like, oh my God, they didn't do anything. Some foul
Paperclip.
paperwork. Yeah, but I did remember that one time.
Chairborne Ranger right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, Chairborne Ranger. Ooh, lead the way. Anyways, like, what are you going to sick all for? Paper cut? But I used to hear people say that, and I heard somebody say that one time, and I literally almost came out of my skin to try to get to that person. Like, who are you? What did you do? What have you done with your life? What have you contributed to society in your life that you're going to sit there and talk about somebody who served, no matter what the capacity of it, but they served. At least they were able to say, "Hey, I'm gonna get sworn in." You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna salute, and I'm gonna go over there, because the thing is, I don't care what your job is. I don't care. When you get to the war zone, any and everybody can become a soldier. You know what I'm saying? As 92 golfers as cooks, you guys still had to. I remember taking you guys to the range, going to the range with you guys. You know what I'm saying? I remember, doing like sergeant time training and stuff like that. We did all that stuff because at some point in time, you never know. And I know, like, because like with the cooks, there's a lot of females that is in that position, right? So a lot of them had to go out on patrol because sometimes they had situations where they had to deal with female prisoners or question females. It was easier for them to have a female soldier there that can do that job. So no matter who you are, no matter what your MOS was, it's still a possibility you're going to see combat. It's still a possibility you're going to be put in harm's way, whether you're inside the wire or outside the wire. But I got to say what's up, guys. We're going inside and outside the wire. I got to say what's up, Miss D. What's up, Miss D?
Hello, party people. How are we tonight?
Out freaking standing. Even better that we get to hear your lovely voice. We don't get to see it until you get home, but to hear your lovely voice. How's work?
Work was good, actually. It was, I was on my feet all day, but it is what it is. I mean, healthcare typically is that way, but no, it was good.
Yeah, it is typically that way. Yeah, hopefully you're gonna go home and get Jeff straightened out. If you're saying something, we can't hear you.
Raven, and I was trying to walk him through everything.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm like in and out of a weird area.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
I tried FaceTiming him with. It was just, I got him closer, but without me being there, I can't necessarily fix it.
Well, I'll say this. I'll also take the blame for that because, I was dealing with other things, trying to get some other stuff. My dad's still in the hospital as well. I don't know. I should have called or try to get with him like maybe Sunday, or even after the show Monday, and send him a link to see if we can get him in to make sure everything was good to go. So I kind of dropped the ball on that too. So I do apologize, Jeff, if you're listening and watching. I do apologize for that. I got to do a better job as a producer to make sure that the people who I'm inviting in can definitely get in. So I will also take the hit for that as well. But yeah. But do you want to throw in a couple 2 cents in, right? What you can right now about what we're talking about?
Well, I mean, you were talking about like the history, and I had mentioned, that the PTSD has been kind of a thing since trench warfare. Mm-hmm. It no longer was a gentleman's game of risk or what have you. At that point, gore was done for gore's sake, period. And that's when you started seeing, it started with being war worn, and then it went to shell shock. And now we have terms like PTSD, but we're also understanding the brain more now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what gets me, especially when we talk about the term PTSD, is that I never knew anything really about it, even though I was experiencing it myself. Still didn't know anything about it. They didn't tell us anything about it. Mason definitely attest to this. When we're in, the military does a horrible job of making sure, and they said this earlier, of making sure soldiers are okay. They overall do a horrible job of taking care of soldiers in that capacity. Now, I would say they took great care of us, like when it came to like the housing and stuff like that. Make sure we, like I would say great. Yeah, that was awesome. Pace and I were too different because he stayed in the barracks because I was married, had children. I had housing. I first stayed on post and I stayed off post. And I came back on post at one point in time, back off post. Anyways, but so that part of it was, it was great. Like I didn't have to worry about rent. It came out of my pay. Like they gave me a bonus for what I was doing, but that took care of my housing. I didn't have to worry about where I was living. I didn't have to worry about lights. I just really just had to, if I wanted internet, I get internet. If I wanted like a satellite or something like that, I had to get that. Then of course, obviously pay for my groceries and stuff to make sure the house, so we can eat. But other than that, yeah, they're phenomenal when it comes to that. When you're in, and then then when you get out, oh my God, do they flip the script or do they flip the script, bro? like they just the whole out process is laughable to me. Now I don't know if they've gotten better about that since I got out because when did you get out, Mace? You got out.
I got out in 2014, February 2nd.
So you got out 2 years after I did. So I got out July 26th, 2012. So yeah, you got out 2 years after I did. So I don't when I got out, it was I think it was like a 3-day process as far as the out process doing that. And then just going around, then all you're doing for the last day or two is you're going around to all the different places that you may have gotten gear from or something like that, and you get the signatures. So that way they can sign off, say, "Hey, you don't owe any equipment, you don't owe any money, this to that." And that was it. So I don't know, what was your process like when you got out?
Oh my God! All right, mine process, top to bottom, was a complete disaster. So first, I want to touch on how you mentioned the thing about housing while we were in. My experience with that was not very great. So here's the deal. So when I was going through my divorce, I had to leave base housing. And so once I left base housing, they never fixed my pay. So my housing allowance was still going towards the civilian contractors that had the contract for housing on post. And this was during a time when they were kind of downsizing the military. So they would tinfoil hat stuff, but this is how I experienced it. They would generate events for soldiers to fail, and then they would counsel them, get them in trouble, get them a paper trail, and then eventually, once it was big enough, kick them out. And so they wouldn't let me go to the finance office to take care of my stuff. And it wasn't just a DFAC thing, it was a company thing. My commander wouldn't let me go. So I was effectively homeless. I had nowhere to stay. Thankfully, JB let me sleep in his closet a few times in his room. I spent a few nights I had nowhere to go. So I would wait till everyone left work and I would hide in the maintenance closet and just sleep there for the night. And this went on for several months up until, I stayed until that Halloween, that night where we saw you on the side of the road, long story, picked you up. And that was the night where I ended up staying where Kenny was staying with the trap house on Mill Street or Coffee Street, one of the two. It's
Coffee.
No,
it was Mill. So it was Mill.
Yeah, so we stay there with D, with Juju, with Bree. You had 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. It was nuts. So we stayed there, and it took me a while, and finally got my money sorted. Because you got to remember, even though I wasn't receiving my housing allowance, I still had to pay child support. I still had to pay spousal support. I had to pay all of this. I had no money, because going through my divorce, my ex-wife was taking every penny.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is so embarrassing as a grown man. But my mom, because I tried to tell my mom, because we were on the phone, and I was trying to explain to her what was going on with me. And she didn't believe me. This goes back to the whole romanticized view of the military. And my mom was like, no, you're a soldier. You're in the Army. They're not going to treat you like that. I don't believe that this is happening. I'm like, it is. And trying to explain to her, we would just get into fights because I would tell her my real lived experience. And then she would tell me that I'm either making it up, exaggerating, or outright lying. Eventually, she got sick of it. She got a hold of my base commander. And then that trickled down to, she got a hold of division. And that trickled down to the company with Captain Bain. And then I got in trouble because my mom was reaching out. It's like, hey, you're making us look bad. It's like, what do you mean? Just let me go to finance and get my shit sorted. This wouldn't have been a problem. And then they kind of had they had no choice at that point. but yeah, my mom apologized, and she talked to my commander, and it's like, hey, my son doesn't have anywhere to live, but he's supposed to get his housing stipend. Like, where's that at? And then he explains like, oh, yeah, well, we kind of need him at work. Like, we don't really have time for him to go, like trying to find some sort of thing. It's like, oh, the nature of his job, he doesn't really have free time to go do these things. It's like, well, why aren't you guys making their free time for him? And it's embarrassing as a grown man to have your own mother call. And then, obviously there's reprisal because I make our leadership look bad. So then I get in trouble. So because of that, like eventually I got my housing shit sorted, but they made me work like extra. Like they couldn't formally get me in trouble. So they just made it to where I constantly had to work. And so then fast forwarding to when I was getting out, the first issue came when I had orders to Korea, and Michael was living with me at the time. So Michael, my son, had flown up to New York. I have custody of him, and I had orders to Korea. And so and this is the whole family first thing, right? I was trying to explain to them, it's like, I have like a year left in my contract. If possible, my unit is up to deploy. I would rather go deploy again for the last year that I'm in, and instead of going to Korea. And their argument was, well, because you would be deployed during your time while you're deployed, it's your last year, you have to start ACAPing. So you have to do the process to get out. So because of that, there's no way for you to do that deployed. So you just have to go to Korea. And it's like, well, I have my kid with me and I can't just leave him behind. Like I have to sort that out. And they're like, well, you got to figure something out because when this day hits, you need to be on a plane. And I'm like, I can't just leave my kid behind. And they're like, well, that's a you problem. So long story short, what ended up happening is I became like a nomad because the official ruling that the company gave me is you have orders. So you have to clear post. But because you don't have a family care plan, you can't go to Korea. So, and I went to the JAG offices and everything. And so, yeah, you have to clear post because you have orders, but you can't leave the country. You can't leave here because you have your child with you. So it put me into this weird gray zone. So I followed the orders as I was supposed to. I completely cleared post. And then my day came to go, and I couldn't leave because I could never go to travel to get the voucher because I had a kid. I had no family care plan. No. So travel could never actually give me the orders that I would take with me to then go. I just had the blanket orders of like what I'm supposed to do, but I didn't have anything that was approved. Like, oh yeah, he can fly without a passport type thing. So then I was stuck at Drum for several months, and I was a nomad. Like, so technically I didn't even have to work. Like they couldn't counsel me because I technically I wasn't in their unit anymore. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, so I was in a really weird gray zone. So for like 3 or 4 months, most of my time was spent at home, just waiting for them to finally figure this out. Yeah. And while I was waiting for that, I was trying to get things set up so I could get Michael back home. So eventually they gave me new orders to Korea that were pushed out even further. So it would have been less than a year for me to go. And so it's like, it's my last year in, and you guys are spending tens of thousands of dollars to fly me from one duty station to another just to have me start ACAPing to leave that new duty station and go to the civilian world. It was like, when you put it on paper, budget wise, it was a tremendous waste of money. Yeah. So long story short, eventually got Michael home and then flew to Korea. I landed in Korea on February 11th, 2013. And then during my time in Korea, that was like my window of opportunity. Am I going to actually ACAP, or am I going to seek a retention officer? Am I going to plan to stay or go? And Korea, like, it did not take long of being in Korea for me to be like, I want no part of this. I'm done completely. Like, I dealt with a lot of shit in Drum, and it's like, I gave it an opportunity, go to a new duty station, see what new leadership is like, right? And everywhere that I went, like the leadership just got worse and worse and worse. And so, because Korea is a duty station that mainly they send new boots to. So people that are fresh out of AIT, they send them to Korea. So the fact that I had a combat patch, that was a huge fucking deal. That was massive. It's like, oh shit, you've been in for a while. Okay, we're going to work you to the bone. It's like, these new guys don't know what they're doing, but you know what you're doing. So I was worked to death. And it was just, and it was not just me. It was me, my buddy Woody, my buddy Chambers. Like, we were like a trifecta over there. And because of all the shit that we had to go through, and we had to deal with like, you thought the leadership at Drum was bad. The leadership in Korea was like 10 times worse. And to make it even worse, we were on Camp Red Cloud, which is a relatively small base. But the important thing about it was that was the hub. All of the most important U.S. arms, like all the top military people for the U.S. Armed Forces were stationed at Camp Red Cloud. That was like the headquarters of Korea at the time. So we had to deal with a shitload of officers all the time. And so we had 2 dining facilities. We had whatever. We had the main one that I worked at, and then you had the hoity-toity, the headquarters one, which was, and they elevated it to be this really nice dining facility. It just looked, they had better furniture, but the food was the same. Yeah. So yeah, but they had their own private golf course, so that was fun.
What?
Anyways, yeah. So ACAPing, trying to ACAP while in Korea was very difficult because it's not like at Drum where, oh, I have to go here, I go here, go here. You could basically go do all your things in one area. In Korea, every different portion of your ACAPing, you're signing out, you have to go to a different post all over the peninsula. So like I would be at one appointment that would be an hour or 2 away, then have to go to another one 3 hours in the opposite direction. So I was going all over the place. And the thing is, they didn't even let me start ACAPing until December. So here's how it went, right? I get there in February. I'm supposed to start ACAPing once I, get in. But because the leadership sees that I am knowledgeable and I've been around, they decide like, hey, let's hold off your ACAPing for a while. Let's keep you focused in the kitchen. You can help train some of the new boots. And so originally my leave was all set up. Like I worked with some of my NCOs and stuff because I did have some decent ones there, like Staff Sergeant Julian. And we set up for me to leave Korea in December. That was the plan, so that I would ACAP like slowly here and there up until December, and I would use my terminal leave to all the leave that I had saved up to leave and go back stateside.
Right.
And we didn't end up doing that because they needed me. So this is Sergeant First Class Morris, massive piece of human garbage. But he had it out for me. He did not like me at all. And part of it was because I had been around for a while and I was getting out. Anyone that was trying to get out of the military, he made it his mission to try to get us kicked out. That way we wouldn't be able to get any benefits. So like he would write us up for like the stupidest thing. I remember and here's the thing, after the bullshit that I had to deal with Drum, I learned a few tricks. So I remember in October, we had an all hands on deck uniform thing, dress uniform inspection, right? I got and I had my greens, but at the time they were transitioning from the greens to the dress blues. Yeah. So me, Chambers, and Woodman, we all had our greens on, and then there was a couple other people that they thought that they had to wear the blues because all the new boots that are coming in, they all were assigned blues. So some people went out of their own pocket and spent like $1,000 on this blue dress uniform. And so Sergeant Morris was really pissed off because me and a couple of my buddies were in our greens. And so he, like, while we're doing the inspection, he's going up and down talking about how that he's going to write us up. And, you guys have to pay for this uniform. It doesn't matter if you guys get out in a couple months. Remember, this is October. I'm supposed to, my end date, my official end date is February 2nd. Not supposed to be there anymore. So he's going up and down, and like we told him, like, what, we're leaving here in a couple of months. Why are we going to spend like over $1,000 on a dress uniform for this one showing? And so what I did was I had with me the memorandum. So I took it out and I showed him, here's the memorandum of us transitioning from the greens to the blues. The effective date where it takes place is a year from now, which means legally we are allowed to wear the dress greens.
Yep.
We are not required to wear the dress blues or pay for the dress blues until this date. And so because of the legal technicalities of it, legally, he could not force us to do it. And that pissed him off so much. So what he did in return is when I was supposed to leave in December, we also had a field exercise outside Camp Casey. And it was a month-long field exercise. So he decided, you know what, Montgomery, I think you've been doing a really good job. I'm going to make you, because it was Staff Sergeant Julian was like the E7 role while we were in the field exercise. So I would then be elevated. Yeah, I was elevated then to take over and be like the kitchen manager, like the S6 role or the E6 role. And basically I had to do all I had to do all like the stuff, right? That the head end steel would do for the field exercise. And so for the whole month I was out there doing that. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. So I missed going home and being able to use my terminal leave when I was supposed to. I missed the birth of my nephew because he was being born in December. So I missed that. And so, and this is what really pissed him off too, is because that the dress uniform thing happened in October. He started signing me up for all this extra shit, but he went on leave at some point in November. And while he was gone, Staff Sergeant Julian was in charge. While Staff Sergeant Julian was in charge as acting, platoon sergeant, he finally let me go do all the ACAP stuff. So for like 2 weeks, I was doing all the ACAP stuff while Sergeant Morris was gone. And then Sergeant Julian, he, as acting platoon sergeant, signed all the paperwork, got my leave stuff set up, and got it even approved by the first sergeant, got approved by the commander, got approved by everybody that I could leave in December. Sergeant Morris comes back from leave. He sees like that I've got my ACAPing done. I'm starting to check out of post and getting ready to leave and it's like, no, we need you here for Thanksgiving. We need you here for the field exercise. So he canceled all the other like leave stuff I did and forced me to stay so I could be there to cook Thanksgiving, so I could be there for the field exercise in December. And oh my God. So then January rolls around. And it's finally time for me to like get home. And the last thing that he did, because I'm cleared of everything. The only thing I have to clear is the day before I leave, I have to officially clear my room. And so I clear my room. I'm giving the thumbs up. I'm all good to go. The next day, I get all my stuff ready. I'm waiting on a cab. I go back to the DFAC just to say goodbye to everybody. At the time, I was dating a girl that worked there. She worked in admin. He really didn't like that because she was the most attractive female in the building. So he didn't like the fact that me and her were together. So his last ditch attempt to get me in trouble while I was still in country was he wanted to get me up on charges of adultery because I was married at one point. So, and I explained to him, I'm divorced. I'm allowed to date whoever I want. There's no adultery at all. And so I even gave him a copy of my divorce decree. And I'm like, here, I have tons of copies of that. You can even keep that one. And so he was like, well, Montgomery, like, I'm from Maryland and this paperwork is from California. I'm not familiar with it. We're going to need to keep you here to kind of like investigate this. And I'm like, I've already cleared post. I've cleared my room. I've cleared everything. There's a cab outside waiting for me. You have a nice life. And I just left. And he was all pissed off. Fast forward, I'm going to wrap up the story. Fast forward, like a couple weeks later, I'm in Washington. I'm hanging out. My girlfriend, she's about to leave Korea too. And so she gives me a call on Skype and we're talking. And she's like, everything since you've been gone has been a fucking disaster. And I'm like, what's happening? Well, apparently, because Staff Sergeant Bills, he didn't want to actually go and fucking like do the room inspection, so he just signed off on it, right? It's like, your room's good, right? And I'm like, absolutely. It wasn't. Like, the room was clean, but we all did the thing that all guys do, is we smoke cigarettes in our room, blow it out the window, leave it in a Coke can, right?
Yeah.
And so the room was clean except for one drawer. When you open it up, there was a bunch of like cigarette butt cans in there. So apparently a new E5 came and he got me and Chambers' old room. And then when they went in to go do the inspection, because he's an E5, he had like the first sergeant with him. And so they do the inspection of the room as he's in there, and he pulls out the thing, and it's just all cigarette butts. And so everyone on post got in trouble for it, mass punishment. And so then, and this is like a couple weeks before my official ETS date, before like they can't touch me anymore. So technically I'm on leave right now. Remember, it's all technical.
Right,
So
right,
I go, I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, well, I'm actually at work right now. The reason why I'm calling you is because Sergeant Morris wants to talk to you. And so I get on the phone with him, and he's like, Montgomery, you need to come back here because I got counseling statements, I got Article 15s, I got everything ready for you. We just need to originate it, get you back on a flight, get you over here so we can get you taken care of, because all this stuff about all your rooms fucked up and this, that, and the other, we got to make an example out of you. And I'm like, all right, good luck with that. I'm not leaving. And he's like, who do you think you're talking to? And I'm like, I don't think you know who you're talking. Like, at this point, I didn't care anymore. And it's like, look, sorry, like, let me explain it to you, because it seems like you're having a hard time. I've cleared Korea. I do not own a passport. I do not have orders from the military to leave the United States to go back to Korea. I'm no longer your soldier. I'm cleared from there. Now, if you want to call branch and have them spend the money to not only like print out orders for me, but also pay for the plane ticket, the hotel, the travel, all that, you go, by all means. If you can do that in a week and a half's time before my ETS date hits, sure, why not? I'll come back. But I guarantee you that's not going to happen. Have a nice life, go to hell. And I hung up on him. In return, he made everyone in the kitchen work like basically nonstop for a week straight. That's the kind of people he was so petty that he couldn't do anything to me. He punished everyone else there. But at that point, I didn't even care anymore. So yeah, getting out was probably like, like yours was interesting because yours was just a bunch of bullshit. It's like, I lost track of the amount of times you had to go to the same appointments with the same doctors for the same shit because you had this medical retirement thing, and it's like you would think it would be easy, but no. Anyway,
no, yeah, mine was definitely, it was, and a lot of it was because of the simple fact was the chain of command at the time, they messed up. They messed up because, okay, so mind you, I was supposed to be going on I think this is the fourth appointment, whatever the last appointment was. I think it was my fourth one anyways, but I was supposed to go on that deployment and everything was set for me to go. And I don't know if you remember this.
Hold on, not to interrupt you. I just got an email from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs that says the VA is committed to ending veteran homelessness. Read our weekly newsletter.
I probably got the same one because I'm signed up for that too. That's hilarious. But anyway, so I don't know if you remember the formation that we had. And the first sergeant was talking about. I can't remember what was his name. One of the weird guy.
Was this when we saw? Roan. He was like Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks.
Yeah, Uncle Ruckus. Yeah. So he was sitting there talking, and he'd made a comment about, hey, the only way you're gonna get out of this deployment is if you have appointments with mental health and you're on some type of medication. Well, when he said it, I looked right at Sergeant Perez, because that's exactly what was going on with me at that time. And after the formation, I said, hey, so what am I supposed to be doing? Because I have like 5 appointments coming up. He's like, well, just go to your appointments, whatnot. And so I went to my appointments, but nothing was ever said to the chain of command. And so, and listen, I'll give them benefit of doubt. And there's a lot going on. We're about to deploy. There's a lot that goes into it. I'd been on already been on multiple points at that point in time, so I understand a lot to go on to it, and you just can't. You don't really keep track of everybody or everything. So I'll talk that up. I'll get that one to him. So it comes around to the point where we're about to go to leave, and I had my appointment. It's like a week before, or no, it's actually 3 days. It's about 3 or 4 days before I was supposed to go. We were supposed to deploy to Afghanistan, and I had an appointment, and it's supposed to be my that was my fifth appointment, my last appointment. And so they walk in and said, "Hey," and it was a I think he might have been a colonel that I had spoke to. And so I walked in there because they were also looking at my medical as far as my back and my shoulders when I got messed up in the IED. But I walked in there and he's behavioral health, and he said, "Hey, I need you to fill out this paperwork." And I was like, "Okay." And so he hands me this paperwork, and in it had this questionnaire. And he said, "Listen, I just want you to answer the questions as honest as possible. Just be honest as possible, and just answer the questions." All right, cool, whatever. Well, whatever. So I answered the questions, not wasn't even thinking anything about it, just answer the questions and this and that. And I hand it back to him, and I go back and sit because I was waiting for my other appointment. And I see him coming walking back up to the front desk, and he's looking at the paperwork, and he looks up at me, and he looks at the paperwork. He looks up at me again and said, "I need you to come here. Come with me." And so I'm like, "Okay, whatever." He leads me back to this, like, down this hallway, this and that, and has me sitting outside this room. And I'm sitting there, and he said, "Hey, come on in." And when I walk in there, there's 4 other freaking doctors in there. So I'm like, "Hold up, man. Listen. I didn't sign up for the Steve Rogers special. Okay, so I don't know what the heck's going on here." You know what I'm saying? Y'all about to shoot me up with some stuff. Y'all already shot me up with enough stuff in the military. I don't know what the heck I got now. I might walk out here with superpowers. I don't know. So walk back there, and so they start going through my paperwork, and they're asking me all this stuff. So they get to the questionnaire part, and they start, asking me, some of the questions, and why I responded to some things. And I was like, "Listen, they told me to be honest." I said, "Yeah," and they were like, "Well, have you ever tried to commit suicide?" And I was like, "I didn't necessarily try." And he's like, "What do you mean necessarily try?" I was like, "Well," I had a plan to, what I'm saying? And then I said, I just really, I kind of just got tired. Then you're like, "Well, why are you tired?" And I, explained to him what was going on, chain of command, what happened, with everything, what happened with the military. And he's like, "Well, how do you feel now?" He's like, "How do you feel most days?" And I was like, my response to that was like, "You know what? At this point in time, it's just whatever." It's like, if I die, I die. However it is, if it's by my hand, by somebody else's hand, I just die. It's whatever. I mean, I don't really care anymore at this point in time. So at that point in time, he's like, "All right, we need you to go outside." So he sent me back outside. I can come back in, and he hands me, I kid you not, 5 pieces of paper. Okay. Like 5 pieces of paper like this, right? 5 of them. All of them had scripts. They were scripts. And they said, "You need to go to pharmacy now." So I left, went to pharmacy, got my medication that I was supposed to get. And I'm going to head back to the company, and my phone rings. And it's the captain, our commander. And he's like, "Hey, where are you at?" And I said, "I'm leaving pharmacy." He said, "Well, you need to get to my office now." I was like, "What the heck?" And I was like, "All right, whatever." So I get there, and it's him, it's first sergeant. I think it was Sergeant Perez. I can't remember who else was there, but there was like 4 of the people there. And I'm like, "What the heck is going on?" They're like, "Well, I just don't understand why you didn't tell anybody that you're going through all this stuff, because now they're saying you can't deploy." And I was like, "What do you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Well, no one knew about any of this stuff going on." I said, "Oh, I'm like, sir, no disrespect. I'm gonna stop you right there." I said, "But I've given all my documentation to my chain of command." I said, "This is not my first rodeo." I was like, "I've been in," and I told him to his face, I've been in the military longer than you have." I said, while I was overseas getting shot at and blown up, you were still in college. I said, "You hadn't even gone to officer school yet. So don't come talk to me about what my job is or what I need to do, who I need to notify about anything. Because I let my chain of command know what was going on." And I was right over. I don't think it was Sergeant Perez was in there. There was somebody else in there. But I looked over and said, "Hey, did you or do you not have my folder in your office? Because if not, I have my paperwork right here." So you remember I just carry my little briefcase thing with me. I was like, "I got my paperwork right here." And everything I have in here is my chain of command has. So don't come at me. And I talked about it. I said, listen, don't come at me. He said, well, hey, Sergeant, you need to chill out who you talking to. I wasn't E5 at that time. Yeah, he said, you need to chill out who you talking to. I said, no, you need to chill out who you talking to. I said, you remember, you are not infantry. I am. I said, that's a whole different beast. Y'all had me over here because y'all needed help over here doing this crap with the soldiers over here. I said, let's not forget what happened at JRTC. Who did y'all range cards? Who did all that stuff? Why'd y'all get such a great review about setting up checkpoints and stuff like that? Why? Because you had somebody infantry doing that. I did that for you. I said, so don't come at me, tell me I didn't do nothing. I said, man, y'all about to make me act real black up in here, man. Good God Almighty. So he's like, well, I'm just saying, we should have been informed. I said, well, then you need to talk to your people that you have in charge, because they're not telling you about anything's going on with the soldiers. Because at that point in time, there was a couple other things that happened. Pac-Man. Because when he got to us, you remember Pasquale, he got to us, he's married, but his wife was still over. She was still over, in the Philippines. Well, he couldn't stay in the barracks because he was married. And he couldn't and they wouldn't put him in, they wouldn't give him housing or anything. So they were telling him basically he was going to be homeless. And so I said, yes, you got your chain of command over here about to make somebody homeless. I said, if it wasn't for the fact I stepped in and said, yo, y'all ain't gonna do that man like that. I didn't even know him. I didn't know Pac-Man at the time. I said, bro, hey, get your stuff. Let's go. We're gonna go back and get your stuff. You're gonna come stay with me. And he ended up staying with me until he ended up because he went. Did he go to Korea? Where did he go to? I think
he went to Riley.
It might have been
some stateside.
Yeah, so he left, and I'm like, yo, dude. I was like, yo, y'all was really about to put this dude out because you didn't want to do your job. I was like, this is why we have the stuff we have now. This is why soldiers are killing themselves. This is why, you know what I'm saying, that you got these soldiers having so many problems with their families. And I think I told you about that one time where we had a dude that he was on extra duty. Staff duty, extra duty to staff up there doing staff. I was on staff duty at the time. He left for his lunch break on staff duty, went home and off to his wife and his 3 kids, and then came back to finish his extra duty. And if it wasn't for the fact his mother-in-law and his father-in-law came in town, and they came on post because they were supposed to be picking up the kids and taking them back with them. If it wasn't for the fact that they came to post that same night and he didn't know that they were coming, he probably left extra duty that next morning and probably would have skipped out. And the MP showed up. They showed up. Like, I ended up having to go back. So they're like, hey, did you talk to so-and-so? I was like, yeah. How was he acting? I was like, man, he did his job and went on about his business. Like, oh, well, yeah, he killed his entire family last night. What? What? So I'm like, that was fun. That was fun. Miss D, how you doing? Need to hear from you.
I'm doing okay.
I'm about to have my PTSD acting up right now. Good God.
It's coming from the medical field and somebody who wanted to be in the military, listening to the stories, like I used to have a hard time listening to my brother tell stories when he was in Afghanistan and whatnot. And Jeff can be tight-lipped about some of the stories when he was in Iraq. And I get it. Everything's compartmentalized. Words are hard.
I do it all the time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of have a grasp on, some of the things that you guys are dealing with just from the medical aspect alone, psychology aspect. But to live it like that, man, you guys are, I'm just in awe how you guys, have come home and, put the pieces back together as well as you have and have been able to carry on. And there are no words for the amount of respect that I have for all of you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That it blows my mind. You know, the things that all of you have gone through, and still do your day to day.
The thing that kills me though, Miss D, is that I got out in 2012, right?
Mhm.
Mace got out in 2014.
Mhm.
I'm only gonna speak about myself. Um, the thing that I got really good at, from I would say 2008, 2009
Mhm.
to present, I got really good at masking it.
Mhm.
I got really good at just because I got to a point, and this is where the mental health part of it is so dangerous. I got to the point where I actually was trying to talk. At the time, I was married to a young lady, um, and I tried talking to her about this stuff, and
Mhm.
she didn't want to hear it. She even threw some of that stuff back in my face. As, oh, you sound like you tried to make it seem like I was weak, to the point where I stopped talking. I stopped talking about that. I stopped talking about it. So that trickled from that into everything else, everyday life. So if something was bothering me, I just wouldn't talk about it. I didn't say anything about it. I just went with the flow and said, you know what? Like May said earlier, we're talking, suck it up. But this is on a completely different level.
Mhm.
This is on a level that if going unchecked, I could either harm myself, or I could have harmed someone else, or multiple someone else's. Someone else's. That didn't. Boy, my grammar is horrible. Multiple people, multiple people, and I still do it. I've gotten a lot better at it, and I'm hoping that Des, could attest to that. But I've gotten a lot better at it. But at the same time, there's still times where I will shut it off and I will close it off, because it's one of those things. I'm in my mind now. I'm thinking, okay, yes, this is something that bothers me, but it's not to the point where I feel like I'm going to explode. I've gotten
Mhm.
better at recognizing it, and I got better at saying, okay, now this is really starting to affect me, because now it's not a mental thing. Now it's becoming a physical thing. I
Mhm.
might start sweating. I might start shaking. You know what I'm saying? My eye might start twitching. I might start getting that bulgy eye looking like Uncle Ruckus for real, for real. But I've gotten better at it when it comes to that. And I think what really, like I said, we've talked about this before. What never really prepared me was for the beyond the combat zone. And I never really understood what that meant. I heard one of my therapists said it before, but I never understood what it meant. And it was the thing of it is that the things that we deal with, they pile up. Okay, and the perfect analogy for that is, have you ever heard about the goat that got stuck in the well?
Mhm.
Okay. And so most people don't know is like what happened was, farmer had his goat. He was working on a well, just built a well, got it there going. Goat walks up, falls into the well. Farmer looks at him, says, "Man, you know what? I can't get this goat out. I might as well just bury the goat." So farmer just started taking the dirt, throwing it in the hole, covering up the goat. All the goat would do is shake it off and then stomp on it, pack it underneath his feet, shake it off, and he did that all the way to the point where he could step out of the well.
Mhm.
And that's a lot what I was doing, but I didn't step out of the well. I would take this stuff, I would shake it off, and I just pack it on my feet. So it was just packing itself down further and further and further. And I was not prepared for that. I didn't understand how to deal with that. At times I still don't, because even things I've learned, and I've taught myself, or I've been taught to deal with these type of things, sometimes those things don't work and I have to find something new. So for a while there, and like I said, Mace 100% could tell you, for the time, sometimes for a while there, the only thing I was doing was all I did was drink. I would maybe eat maybe once a day. And sometimes it wouldn't even, sometimes I wasn't even eating. Like half time he'd have to drag me to freaking McDonald's to go get some big doubles. You know what I'm saying? It's McDonald's with mac
Dude,
sauce.
oh my god, so many stories of those damn fucking 211s, man. The steel reserve.
Oh my God, still reserve. I listen, Miss D. Let me say this. I drank so much that I literally thought one night when I went to the bathroom that I peed my liver out. I literally thought because I'm like, there's no way I have a liver. There's no way my kidneys are functioning properly, which I'm still to this day, I'm shocked because they check my kidneys, especially with my father being stage 4 kidney failure. At this one things, that, within my family, I'm shocked that I'm as healthy as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, Mace, he's sitting right there, like he can sit there and tell you. I don't know how I was a functioning alcoholic. That's all I can say, and I don't know how I was functioning. I don't know if you want to jump on that, there, Mace.
Oh, I mean, we have a lot of stories from that time. I think definitely touching on substance use with as part of like our own personal coping mechanism, because yeah, on one hand, like we had services available to us, but they weren't entirely reliable. And so it's rather common for, it was rather common for a lot of us to like chase the drink, especially being stationed up at Drum. I mean, the local watering hole was Watertown. And what do you do in this rural town? You go to the bars, you drink, so it's like, it was a social thing that a lot of us ended up using as a coping mechanism. And, I think over time, being away from it is like, some of us, like I know me and Tim, we don't nearly drink on the same level that we used to. I mean, I don't drink at all, but man, back in the day, woo, like I didn't care. Like I would drink that Mad Dog 2020 just because it was cheap.
Oh, good God. That's hold on to blades of grass and hope you don't fall off the world stuff.
Hey, woo.
So it's like, that is one thing that I have noticed that with the VA, they put a huge emphasis on, is that they always ask us if we're going to hurt ourselves or others. Yeah. And then they also want to monitor like our intake of drinking. Like they don't make it like shameful. It's like, yeah, drinking's like a social thing. It's fine. But along with a lot of your other things, it might not be the best coping mechanism. So
yeah.
But then you come back stateside afterwards and you can join the VFW, the Legion, the DAV or whatever, where you get cheap alcohol.
Yeah, no.
Go figure.
Yeah. I was like, man, this is actually pretty cool, man. I should have joined this a long time ago. But yeah, I'm right there with you. And that's the thing that gets me, like I said, one thing most people don't know is especially with veterans, facing housing and instability, financial strain, lack of health care across access, are about 20 times more likely to report suicidal thoughts than those without these type of stressors. I can remember I've done 3 stints in a VA mental hospital. Twice while I was still in, they actually sent me to they sent me one there in Watertown, and then one they actually sent me to Denton, Texas, and there's actually a specialized PTSD clinic that they sent me to, and that was like right before I got out. And that one actually really helped me out because it really helped me to understand what PTSD actually really was, and some of the things I was really dealing with. And then the last one I went to was, was after I gotten out, and I got sent to Muskogee, Oklahoma. And it was clean. And that one, I think, probably really set me on the course to true healing, because they noticed something that everyone had missed up until that point in time. And that's when I was diagnosed with bipolar. And no one had actually, because they never looked at everything as a whole. They looked at bits and pieces of what was going on with me mentally and everything else. And no one actually took the time to look at everything. I didn't understand what was going on. So I couldn't even explain it to them. But when I sat there and, I was talking to some of the therapists there, and they just watched and observed me, then they had me, there was some test they had me do or whatever. Anyways, let's just say I scored really high on something, and that you think that, no, that's good, you score high. That's not a test you want to score high But anyway, that was not
Well,
a
the
test.
thing though with bipolar though that they don't tell you, and this is something just like I said from a psychological standpoint, bipolar mimics the symptoms. It's a great mimic because it mimics the symptoms of so many other things,
Mm-hmm.
and it
That's why.
depends on what type of bipolar as well, because there are varying stages. I mean, things like ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
OCD, ODD, they all mimic the same symptoms. So to actually sit there and say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to diagnose you with bipolar, you add on the PTSD standpoint, and it's even that much more difficult to diagnose
Yeah.
bipolar as a standalone illness. So, I mean, thank God that you had, a therapist and psychologist who was able to separate it out and make that diagnosis because it's treatable.
Yeah.
And, with proper treatment, with proper counsel, you can live a very successful life with it. But if you have somebody who's not going to take the time and actually dissect it, yeah, you're going to wind up with people falling through the cracks left and right. And unfortunately, I think, our military, especially our soldiers coming home, who don't have the proper debriefing and all of that, because I mean, let's face it, the military is horrible at getting people to go home in a semi-functional state, let alone actually debriefing them properly. Um, you're no longer their problem as far as they're concerned. Um, but it boggles my mind that the people who work at the VA, who work with our soldiers on a day-to-day basis, um, because they're basically getting paid bottom of the barrel to do some of the hardest work on the
Yeah.
face of this planet.
Yeah. I
You
definitely agree
know,
with that.
and unfortunately, some of them just don't care. They're there for the paycheck and for the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But when you find one that is good, you try to hold on to them. But the VA is constantly, swapping them out. I mean, there's a reason why Jeff doesn't have a doctor at the VA, because every time that he'd be assigned a doctor that he would actually do well with, they'd be gone in the next few months.
Yeah.
At this.
I'll give you a perfect example of that too.
Mhm.
I almost thought I was about to lose. I was about to flip out because I have a wonderful doctor. Her name is Dr. Jackson. And she, since I started going to the Leavenworth VA, here in Kansas, which is where I go, is about 2 hours away from here. Which is, I mean, there's 3 VA hospitals that are close here, but they're all around 2 hours. One being a little over 2 hours, and like I said, that one up in Leavenworth. So I like going with that one anyways. But I thought I was going to flip because I got an email saying that she was going to be leaving, and I was like, I am not going through this crap again, because since having her, because of her, I was able to actually finally get somebody to actually look at my shoulders. So I ended up getting both my shoulders surgically repaired, reconstructing, all that good stuff. Got those done. She was the one to seeing what was going on with my hip, because she saw that I was walking funny. I was like, well, it's just my back. She's like, well, I don't know, maybe it's your back. Well, we'll just get some x-rays. Let's just make sure everything's. And because of her, I never would have known that I had no cartilage in my right hip and I had a cracked hip. That I've had they figured out when I started having these issues. It happened after that IED blast. I got slammed into the Humvee. So I basically had a cracked hip since then. That's 2006.
Jesus.
And I just got that repaired. So like I was about to flip out, and I went to my next appointment. So I was like, man, I don't want to go to this appointment, man. I'm gonna see what's going on. And I walk in and it's her. I was like, wait a minute, I thought you weren't going to be here anymore. She's like, I don't know why they sent that out. She said, all I did was like they had me floating over to another department to help out with them. I wasn't going anywhere. I was just helping out. But that goes back to your point. A lot of these doctors, you have them now, they send them all over the place, but they also they loan them out to other departments to where they're doing it. So these doctors are being overworked because there's not enough people that are in the medical field that are going over to the VA side of it to do things. And so with more veterans starting to go to the VA more, some of them, and listen, I will tell this, Mason's sitting right there. He's had bad experiences with the VA, right? I haven't. I've been very blessed, very fortunate, and I haven't had a lot of issues with the VA, but there's other departments I have had issues with, but that's mainly those being on the phone with them. I still will tell a veteran, I still will tell you day in, day out. And I got a buddy of mine I'm trying to work with. He's down in Oklahoma. You've got to go. You got to go. You know what I'm saying? One thing I'm very thankful for, all my medications are paid for. I don't even have to go to the pharmacy to go get my medications. They send them right to my house. Every medication I have, anything I need, they send it to the house. So I don't have to go pick it up. You know, the insurance you get through the VA, whether it's TRICARE, whether it's just you going to the VA hospital. If you go to a VA hospital, guess what? Paid for. You don't have to pay for anything when you go to the VA hospital if you're a veteran. You know what I'm saying? Utilize that. Don't give up. You know what I'm saying? Don't give up. Utilize it, especially if you're dealing with the mental health part. Go see behavioral health. Go see them. Go talk to them. They have more than just other programs than just you go and see a therapist. They have the group sessions. They have sessions. I'm assuming they all do, but I know in Landworth, they have sessions where if you want to link up with other veterans and go fishing, if you want to link up with other veterans and just like go get coffee or something like that, or just sit there and just talk about anything other than what you're dealing with, you have that opportunity. But if you don't take the opportunity, you're just going to be stuck where you're at. You know what I'm saying? So it's important. I got to ask both of you this question. I'm going to ask you this question. And I'm trying to wrap things up, but this is one of those things, like I said. So my question to you is this: what do you think the percentage of veterans that veteran suicides that are driven by physical or mental issues? What do you think the percentage is?
100%.
You say 100%?
100%.
What do you say? 100%?
Yeah, same.
Okay, so according to, let me pull this up. Where's it at? Okay, according to, what is this? MD Edge, veteran suicide rates decline. It says decline slightly. So they're saying in 2023, fewer veterans died of suicide in 2023 versus 2022. Now, what they're saying is, I agree it's 100%, whatever the percentage is 100%, right? What they're saying is that more than half of the suicides the Veterans Health Administration found were driven by pain, which is about 52.3%, or sleep problems, which is 51.5%. It increased half the problems. Increased health problems, were factors in 43.1% of cases, particularly traumatic brain injury, which that's one thing I worry about too, because I've had like 6 or 7 TBIs, and cancer diagnosis. The suicide rate, it was 77.6 per 100,000 of veterans with a recent diagnosis of TBI, 94.3% higher than the rate of individuals without such diagnosis. I think for me also, that's another huge thing. I'm gonna put that in the chat as well, is that those TBIs. Those, I'm telling you right now, if you're a veteran, or anybody for that matter, and you've had any type of TBI, you need to make sure you're getting yourself regularly checked.
There's one person that I will bring up with that, and he wasn't even a veteran. He's an athlete.
Yes.
Look at Aaron Hernandez.
Chris Benoit,
exactly. When you're looking at TBIs, and depending on what part of the brain is being damaged, that it literally causes people to snap and do things
Changes
that
your
they
brain chemistry.
Right. And people would not typically have that kind of rage or inability to function, executive function, if they didn't have that kind of TBI.
Yeah.
Listen,
we need to wrap this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but when you're looking at, the hippocampus and the amygdala, I mean, these are things that we also look at with dementia, because that's the biggest thing, that's the part of the brain that deciphers it. Any kind of damage to the hippocampus, you cannot have executive functioning to be able to manage those stressors.
Yeah. 100%. Listen, we can talk about, we can be on this thing for hours. But we're definitely gonna wrap things up. So I'm gonna ask my co-host, Miss D, what are some of your closing thoughts and remarks as far as this topic goes?
As far as this topic goes, like I said, being a veteran spouse, being a veteran sister, daughter, granddaughter, cousin, I mean, the military is in my blood. Hell, I even took the ASVAB.
Yeah, I remember saying
and I scored exceptionally high when I took the ASVAB. But when you have these soldiers or these military personnel coming home and they need to talk, be a sounding board. Shut your mouth and listen. Because sometimes, not always, but a good percentage of the time, just by listening and letting them get it out could be the difference if they're going to be a 22 a day or not.
Yeah.
And there are services and people willing to listen and help, just, and for anybody listening, anybody watching, if you are one of those people, I can tell you, I, for one, personally, message me.
Yeah.
I will be that sounding board. I can point you in the right direction. But at the end of the day, we can only do for ourselves. And we can't take it on us if somebody else decides to make that call or not. Just be a decent human being, though, and just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Yeah. Like that. Nice.
Yo. It's like mental health is always going to be one of those things that's touchy because not everyone knows how to properly interact, nor do we know ourselves how to manage these things. And we've seen over time that these are all getting better. And I think as far as taking care of yourself, that self-reflection is a very, very important thing. So my hope and my goal is that people don't fall into the whole, oh, you're weak mindset just by, it shows tremendous strength to admit that you need help and seek it. And then on the flip side, dealing with the outside world and acknowledging that, hey, we have our own things that we go through and our own issues that we deal with. And that same thing is applied across the board to other people. So the whole don't judge a book by its cover thing, that's kind of the hope and the dream that we can all kind of pursue.
Yeah. What I'm going to say is this. I always use myself as an example for anything. I can't speak for Mace. I can't speak for Miss D. Can't speak for Jeff. I can't speak for our buddy JB. I can't speak for Jimmy. I can't speak for any other veteran or anybody else that deals with mental health. I can only speak on me because I'm the only one dealing with this battle. When I say dealing, I'm the only one dealing with it. It starts with me. You know, those are who love and care about you. They will continually try to fight for you and fight with you in your battles. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's you. I still struggle. Whether it's dealing with things that happen within the military, whether it's dealing with things that are going on right now in my life, I struggle. So it seems like I have things under control. No, I'm like that. I'm like that. that old, you know, how they always use the duck as a example. The duck is on top of water, and you see him, he's just gliding over there, but you don't see how frantically he's kicking his feet underneath. That's how it is most of the time. On the surface, I may seem like I'm doing okay. Majority of the time, I'm in a full-fledged end game, like with the Avengers, you know, that final battle scene. That's what it's like. You know what I'm saying? That's what it feels like majority of the time. So I want to do one thing. I want to challenge each and every one of you that are out here listening, watching us right now, or watching and listening to us later. Like I said, we're talking about veterans' mental health. If you know a veteran, my challenge to you is at least maybe once a week. If you know, once a week, call or text them. Or if you know where they're at, go see them. Say, hey, you know what? I just want to know how are you doing really? Okay, just check on them. Now, we're talking about veterans' mental health. This is mental health in general, especially if you know somebody who has struggled in the past. Check on them, for crying out loud. Make sure they're doing okay. All right. Now, I get it. We gave some numbers, some stats, and everything like that. And I get that a lot of stuff can be grim. But the thing you have to understand, and the thing I have to remind myself constantly, is that recovery is possible. Okay. PTSD is treatable. And the suicide rate among those like that are actually engaged in VA care has dropped by nearly 35%. So it does help.
Oh,
You just
side
gotta give it a
note
chance.
on that.
Go for it.
They approved the psychedelics for the treatment of PTSD in vets. So that's something that they've started going on. I gotten some emails from the VA requesting like, hey, do you want to be a part of this? Like,
What?
Yeah,
the heck? I ain't got that email.
Psilocybin, I believe it's something that's been tested for depression and anxiety, the PTSD, stuff like that. And so it's something that the Trump administration was able to get going. So that's a thing now that they're starting up is treatment and testing.
Microdosing psilocybin has been a proven treatment. And so, yeah, they're trying to get full FDA backing.
Okay, look, I know I've been pretty critical of the Trump administration. However, I would say that's a pretty good one. I'll give y'all that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'll back you for that one. Everything else, though, we're gonna need to talk about. But understand, bottom line, end of the day, you got to give it a chance. If you can't become better if you don't at least give yourself a chance to become better. Just don't give up on yourself. All right, I have not given up on myself. Despite everything that goes on in my life, I still don't give up on myself. Do I have lapses where I get down and it's one of those? Yes, 100%. But I keep getting up. I keep waking up. God gives me the strength. He gives me the ability to wake up for another day. And as long as he keeps doing that, I'm going to keep trying to find a way to fight. All right. I've got too much I need to teach my children. You know, I'm coaching, I'm doing all this. There's too much. The fact that I keep getting up and I keep waking up, my eyes keep waking up, or I keep opening my eyes and I'm breathing for another day tells me that my work's not finished. So I'm fighting. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Okay. Fight. Don't give up. All right. So I mean that's pretty much all I've got. I will say this. we hadn't really been doing the recap, but would you guys be okay doing a recap tomorrow?
I mean, I have to work at 8 p.m., so I will be traveling to work, but I can do the same thing that I did tonight. And then
Yeah.
I'll just have to jump out halfway through. That's all.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go.
No, I need to hear. I want to hear from you. Come on.
No, I was just like saying with D, it's like yes, same deal, kind of. So if it's
Yeah.
something short and sweet, but
Right. Well, I think let's hold off on the recap. Like I said, there and people, I thank everybody for being patient with us because there's been a couple episodes we've had to postpone. You know what I'm saying? And for those who don't know, I'm dealing with, family wise, we're doing some things because Dad's mom had surgery, so she's still recovering from that. My dad is currently in the hospital right now, dealing with some health issues. So I appreciate everybody. We love support, your prayers, most definitely, and then of course, ultimately your patience with us. So we will get back in the swing of things. So just like I said, I appreciate you guys. So let's just hold off on the recap for right now. And then we'll work towards some other things, moving forward in the future. So I really appreciate you guys. It was great to see you in here as well. I know you've been trying to get in here for quite some time. So it's great to have you in here. I love all y'all. I appreciate it. You definitely stay nerdy too. Itzy. I appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody who watches us, who joins us on the lives, who are in the comments. You guys make this wonderful, make this process really wonderful. I definitely appreciate love my co-hosts. You guys I love you guys. You guys are awesome. You make this that much more enjoyable. So I definitely appreciate the two of you, Bambi, Deathlight in her absence, as well as Ace and his. Appreciate all you guys. So I don't have anything else. So like I said, thank you guys for joining us with this episode of the Birdman Show, Wings of Valor, Veterans Mental Health. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. Yeah, so we'll see you guys Monday. What are we talking about Monday? It's the
Celebrity replacements.
Celebrity replacement. Man, listen, that's gonna be. Anyways, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Listen, appreciate you guys. You guys are freaking phenomenal. So like I said, we'll be back Monday for another episode of Conspiracy Files, talking about celebrity replacements. And then we'll be back next Wednesday for another episode of the Birdman Show. I don't even know what the heck we're doing. I half time I got a message this D, but like, yeah, what are we talking about? Because my mind has been so scrambled. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Love you guys so much. Thank you guys so very much for joining us for this episode. Like I said, we'll see you guys Monday and then of course Wednesday. I'm the Birdman. That's Mace Valor. That's Miss D. Tell Jeff, don't worry, we're gonna get him on here. But tell him don't worry, it's all good. Love you, brother. But as you like you always know what to do. Go ahead and do it with us so we get up out of here. Go ahead and with time. There you go. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys later. We out.